In the shadowy corners of unsolved mysteries, there lie cases so chilling, they've been all but forgotten by time. But today, we're diving deep into the darkest recesses of cold case files to uncover 5 haunting stories that will send shivers down your spine. These aren't just any unsolved crimes. These are the cases that have baffled investigators for decades, leaving behind nothing but questions and an eerie sense of unfinished business. From unidentified victims to perplexing circumstances, these cases will challenge everything you thought you knew about unsolved mysteries. Are you ready to journey into the unknown? Brace yourself, because what you're about to hear might just keep you up at night. Our first stop takes us to Marion County, Indiana, in the frigid winter of 1989. On a desolate stretch of road, a gruesome discovery was made that would perplex investigators for years to come. The body of a young woman, brutally murdered and left exposed to the elements, was found by a passing motorist. But this wasn't just another tragic homicide. This was the beginning of a mystery that would come to be known as the case of the Marion County Jane Doe. The victim, estimated to be between 20 and 30 years old, bore no identification. Her face, once perhaps full of life and promise, was now unrecognizable due to the horrific nature of her injuries. The brutality of the crime shocked even seasoned detectives, but what was even more disturbing was the complete lack of leads. No missing persons reports matched her description, and despite extensive efforts, no one came forward to claim her as family or friend. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the case of the Marion County Jane Doe grew colder. Who was this young woman? What circumstances led her to that lonely stretch of road? And most importantly, who was responsible for her brutal demise? These questions continue to haunt investigators to this day, as the identity of both victim and perpetrator remains shrouded in mystery. But the Marion County Jane Doe is not alone in her anonymity. Our next case takes us south, to the sun-drenched shores of Mississippi, where another heartbreaking mystery unfolded in 1982. It was a crisp December morning when the tiny body of an infant girl washed ashore along the Escatawpa River. The local community was stunned by the discovery, and the case quickly became known as Delta Dawn, a name inspired by the popular song of the time. The infant, believed to be no more than a few days old, was found partially submerged in the murky waters. She was wrapped in a blanket, a haunting detail that suggested someone had cared for her, if only briefly. But who was this child? And how did she come to such a tragic end so early in life? As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a perplexing lead. Witnesses reported seeing a young woman, disheveled and distraught, walking along the highway near the river in the days before the discovery. She was carrying a baby and appeared to be in distress. Despite extensive searches and public appeals, this mysterious woman was never found, leaving authorities to wonder if she was the mother of the ill-fated infant. The case of Delta Dawn, also known as Baby Jane, remains one of Mississippi's most haunting unsolved mysteries. The image of that tiny body, lost and alone, continues to tug at the heartstrings of all who hear her story. Will we ever know the truth behind this tragic tale? Our journey through the annals of forgotten cold cases now takes us to Virginia, where in 1995, a puzzling discovery was made that would captivate internet sleuths for years to come. On the side of a highway in Emporia, the body of a young man was found. He had no identification, but clutched in his hand was a ticket stub to a Grateful Dead concert. This single clue would give him the moniker that would define his case, the Grateful Doe. The circumstances surrounding the Grateful Doe's death were as mysterious as his identity. He was believed to be a hitchhiker, possibly traveling to or from a Grateful Dead concert. But beyond that, investigators had little to go on. His youthful face and long hair painted a picture of a free spirit, but who was he really? And how did he end up alone on that stretch of highway? For 2 decades, the case of the Grateful Doe remained cold. But in a twist that highlights the power of modern technology and social media, a breakthrough finally came in 2015. Thanks to the tireless efforts of online sleuths and DNA analysis, the Grateful Doe was finally identified as Jason Callahan, a 19-year-old from South Carolina who had gone missing in 1995. While his identity was finally known, the circumstances of his death remain a mystery to this day. As we delve deeper into these forgotten cases, we find ourselves transported to the Sunshine State of Florida, where in 1971, a grim discovery was made that would baffle investigators for decades. In the murky waters of Lake Panisovki, the body of a young woman was found. She was petite, possibly of Greek descent, and estimated to be between 17 and 24 years old. But beyond these basic details, her identity remained a complete mystery. Dubbed Little Miss Lake Panisovki, this Jane Doe became one of Florida's most enduring cold cases. The circumstances of her death were as puzzling as her identity. She had been strangled, her body weighted down in the lake, but no other evidence was found at the scene. Who was this young woman? What brought her to Lake Panisovki? And who wanted her silenced forever? Despite extensive investigations and multiple reconstructions of her face over the years, Little Miss Lake Panisovki remains unidentified. Her case serves as a haunting reminder of the countless victims who lie in unmarked graves, their stories untold and their killers unpunished. Our final stop on this chilling journey takes us to Sumter County, South Carolina, where in 1976, a double murder would become one of the most perplexing cold cases in the state's history. On a quiet country road, the bodies of a young couple were discovered, both shot at close range. But what made this case truly baffling was that neither victim could be identified. The couple, who became known as the Sumter County Does, appeared to be in their mid-20s to early 30s. They were well-dressed and carried a significant amount of cash, suggesting they weren't drifters or hitchhikers. But despite their apparent means, they had no identification, and their fingerprints matched no known records. As investigators dug deeper, the mystery only grew. Witnesses reported seeing the couple at a local fruit stand earlier that day, appearing happy and relaxed. What transpired in the hours between that sighting and their brutal murder? And why has no one ever come forward to identify them? The case of the Sumter County Does has haunted South Carolina for nearly half a century. Despite numerous leads and the advent of DNA technology, their identities remain unknown, and their killer or killers have never been brought to justice. As we conclude our journey through these forgotten cold cases, we're left with more questions than answers. Each of these stories, the Marion County Jane Doe, Delta Dawn, the Grateful Doe, Little Miss Lake Panisovki, and the Sumter County Does, represents not just a crime unsolved, but a life unlived, a story untold. These cases serve as a stark reminder of the limits of our justice system and the enduring nature of some mysteries. They challenge us to remember that behind every cold case file is a human being, someone's child, sibling, friend, or lover, whose story deserves to be told and whose justice remains unserved. As technology advances and investigative techniques evolve, there's always hope that these cold cases might one day be solved. But until then, they remain frozen in time, waiting for that crucial piece of evidence, that one witness to come forward, or that DNA match that could finally bring closure. So the next time you hear about an unsolved mystery or a Jane or John Doe, remember these forgotten cases. Remember that somewhere out there, someone might hold the key to unlocking these decades-old puzzles. And perhaps, just perhaps, by keeping these stories alive, we might one day bring peace to the victims and answers to their families. Until then, these chilling cold cases will continue to haunt us, reminding us of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows of our world and the enduring human desire for truth and justice, no matter how long it takes.